Do you remember the pieces that made you fall in love with the classical guitar? There's a high probability that one of these pieces is Recuerdos de Alhambra by Francisco Tarrega. Its main feature is the extended use of a technique called Tremolo, where your ring, your middle and your index finger play the melody in a repeating pattern, while your thumb plays the accompaniment. Sounds complicated? Well, fear not. In this video, 5 guitarists show you basic and advanced practice advice to perfect this technique. These artists are Stephanie Jones, Artyom Dervoed, Viloteau, Bokyung Byun and Xuefei. All of these clips are taken from larger premium courses that you can find on the Tonebase platform. Let's jump right in and learn something about tremolo.
So first off, I want you just to be completely relaxed. You shake out your right hand and bring it in a natural position over the strings. Whenever you do anything with guitar playing, it should be in the most natural position possible. So bring it across. Mine's a little bit of a diagonal, but it's generally still going across the strings like this. All right, so I want your 3 fingers to sit on the top string and your thumb to be sitting on the D string, like so. And our first exercise is just going to pluck the thumb and then playing one of these other fingers. So let's start with the A finger. Now the other 2 fingers are going to stay in that position. So I'm going to be sitting on that string. So it's going to have this plucked sound. And that's okay. It's also good to sort of strengthen it a little bit, to have a little bit of tension there to pluck against. I also want you to leave time when the other fingers will be playing. So for example, da, 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 da. I also want you to think about how you're plucking the note. So you don't want to be doing any of these sorts of movements, because that's just going to make tremolo way more difficult than it needs to be. You want to be going it across like this. It's supposed to be like a wave. So think about that when you're plucking. You might feel like you really want to play with the other 2 fingers. And that's natural, like even I still get that a little bit. But this is all about learning control as well. So let's do it now with the middle finger. So we're not playing with the A finger, just the middle finger. Da, 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 da. Now let's do it with the I finger and the thumb. Da, 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 da. Now when you feel comfortable with that, you can just lift your fingers slightly up so that they're not sitting on the string and do the same exact exercise. So it won't have this plucked, muted sound. Something else you can think about is the balance between these notes to make sure that they're as even as possible. So you're not going or the other way around. Now let's do it with the M finger. And now the I finger.
Tremolo, one of the most difficult technique. Let's figure out how to make it perfect. Tremolo should be even, and to make it even, we need to have all pairs of fingers worked out as much as possible. So it means pair of A and M finger, pair of M and A finger, and then the combination of A, M, I. In order to make it even, we need the metronome, we need the slow tempo, and first of all we do a tremolo with this combination P, A, M, A. So we will work out this pair first. The best is to put the metronome on every second note. Pa 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 pa. In left hand it should be something which doesn't bother you. So we have to concentrate on the right hand. When it's rhythmically perfect, then we make it faster. And then even more faster. Same procedure, you start from the first position and then you move forward to the 12th fret and then you go back.
I realized that being a very repetitive movement, the tremolo really gets out of control pretty fast. And so I tried to have different kinds of tremolos. So I came up with really 3 different tremolos. And I didn't just come up with them practicing an exercise, I came up with them practicing the music, so in the piece, in Recuerdos de Alhambra, basically. I wanted to have different characters in the piece, you know, like sometimes, to move from something lyrical to something more articulate, for example. And also, the tremolo is something that is always the same in the hand, but the music is always different. Sometimes the melody is going to be in the fingers, and sometimes the fingers on top are just going to be accompanying a melody in the thumb. Or maybe not a melody, but something more interesting in the thumb. Okay? So you need to be able to switch from one to the other. Also, sometimes you'll have shifts here. And you want to be able to really, instead of shifting super fast between the I and the A, you want to be able to maybe just block the string a little bit with the A, so you have time to shift cleanly, and then you can go on. So my basic tremolo is P. I put the finger on the string, so I have some kind of stability with my hand. The A is on the string, it plays the string, and then the M and the I go through. So that's the first tremolo I have. The second tremolo I have is to really just go through all of the notes. So to have something very legato, and this works really well in the piano sections and when the accompaniment is on the top mostly. And the third is having everything detached. So really, just like I was thinking about the tremolo in the first few minutes of this video, where I said it's just normal notes, P, A, M, I. This will make it more detached. So, and this is basically done where each finger really is put on the string firmly before it plays. This I use mostly on the second strings. Another thing I think you need to think about when you get to the music is the fingerings. Tremolo, I think we can all agree, is much easier if you do it on the first string because you have a wider range of motion. So avoid those fingerings when you have a melody and the tremolo in the second string. I think it's basically pretty simple to do. In Recuerdos de Alhambra, I used to play it with like this, all of those passages in the second string. I changed all those fingerings and put the first string, back on the tremolo. It was much easier, honestly. But that being said, you have to play on the second string or third string sometimes, obviously. So I'll use this kind of more detached. So instead of having an attack that really comes from far, I'll have an attack that really comes from kind of upwards, okay? Instead of having... I'm trying to make a really wide gesture here. I'll have something... Okay? So those are basically the three kinds of tremolo that I do. I also noticed when I played it back with slow motion that my M finger was was not placed really well in the time. So I just decided to, when I practiced, put a big accent on the M finger. So it places it back where it should be, because it's not thumb and then triplet. It's really just 4 regular notes, most of the time 30-second notes, okay? So you'll have to if you put an accent on the M, it'll become like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 instead of 1 1 2 3 1 1 2 3. Okay, you want to have those 4 notes equal. So you have 2 notes and then 2 notes. Okay. So the big accent on the M finger, sorry, I think is important. To me, it really helped a lot. So here is the first tremolo. I play the thumb. When I play the thumb, the A finger is on the string. The timing is not that important, but just make sure there is some contact with the string. It keeps the hand stable, and then the other 2 fingers are just going to follow after the A. So they know where the string is. Your brain will know. So, thumb, A. And then the M and the I. And you try to really go through the string. This is way too much, obviously, but I'm just demonstrating, okay? So if you were to practice this really carefully, the M and the I, they go super fast, and you try to kind of start the attack not on the string but before. Kind of like this. Okay? But obviously it'll be controlled and it'll be just on the one string, but basically it's just this. You don't really care where the string is, you just go through it.
Here's the tremolo exercise for the Barrios. This exercise is designed to help you with 2 things. First, since the tremolo in A, M, I fingers is on the second string and not on the first string, it forces you to keep minimal motion in your right hand so that the fingers won't accidentally touch either the first or third strings. If the tremolo was on the first string, your motion can be as big as you want, like this. But that's something we want to avoid when doing tremolo. So this exercise is designed to keep you from doing that. Secondly, this exercise will help you shape your bass line with the thumb. Take a look at the accented notes in the bass line and the hierarchy of those accented notes. Although these notes are marked with accents, please note that the dynamic differences of these notes are very subtle and not so punchy, like how we would normally play accented notes. Let's try playing just the bass notes first. The first accented note is the loudest, and the second accented note is a little less than that in volume, and the last accented note is the softest among them. Note how the repeated notes are also marked less. This means to play the repeated notes a little softer. So let's put it all together. Just like that. And once you're comfortable with this shaped bass line, combine it with the tremolo. One of the things I often notice with people who are trying to learn tremolo for the first time is that they too quickly attempt to play tremolo at a fast tempo. When I learned the tremolo technique myself, I started from the slowest tempo and stayed at the tempo about a month or so before I started building up speed. And remember, it's really important, extremely important to be patient with the progress, because with this kind of technique, with such an automated motion, repeated over and over again, it'll be very difficult to try to fix it once your hand learns the motion. So I would like to suggest to use a metronome to keep track of your progress. Start at the slowest tempo possible. The most important thing to keep in mind is to keep the notes even at all times. Gradually speed up your metronome. For example, we can start from 50. As you're doing this, also don't forget to shape the bass line. And we can gradually go up. For example, the second speed can be 54. And so forth. So at first you can go up by 4, later reduce it down to 3, 2, and eventually just going up by 1 at a time. And you get the idea. Once you reach a tempo where you start losing control over the evenness of notes in your right hand, stop increasing the tempo and stay with the tempo until it becomes steadily even and comfortable again.
One of the common issues of playing a tremolo piece is that we can focus on the tremolo too much, and we neglect the accompaniment, which is very important too, because the accompaniment, they helps shaping the line and also helps the atmosphere and the feelings of the piece. So I suggest that you can separate the accompaniment, single them out to practice. We can think about the accompaniment has 3 layers. The first layer is the first bass note, which set up the harmonic sound. So they need to be consistent in terms of volume and sustain. And then on top, we do have a nice line on the top. And then the third layer is the middle note, the E, which happens a lot, so you don't want that note ringing too much. You don't want it to... That wouldn't be nice. And And I'd like to think about the sound of harp, for example, to give it a very atmospheric feeling. I think that you could even try to practice singing the line yourself and just playing accompaniment like a troubadour or like a pop singer. And in that way, you also get a sense of how to sing the line and where you can breathe. You get a sense of phrasing. Now you breathe. Oh, I'm nervous to sing. I think that I like to treat this piece like a duet. So in the end of the day, you are doing the singing line and you are doing the accompaniment. So by actually singing the line and doing the accompaniment, you get a real sense of what it could be sounded like. If you cannot do the singing and playing together, you could also simplify the tremolo line. So focus on accompaniment. For example, we can do this way. And when you do a single note, you would find that you cannot sustain a single note, but by shaping the accompaniment, that could help shaping the line. So this is another, I find it's a good way to practice and get a different feel of the piece.